15 seconds. It is a matter of great pleasure to me to be asked to lay the foundation stone of the Senate House of the Travancore University. When I was first asked to do so, I readily agreed because I have always felt a kind of deep interest in educational matters, and I consider it a privilege to be associated with any function connected with educational institutions, especially so in Travancore, Cochin, where education is far advanced and where, as has just been reported to us, the number of students today is 29,000, out of whom nearly one third are women. It is a matter for gratification and congratulation that the university, which is not even 20 years old as yet, has, in spite of various difficulties, made steady progress, and today it has not only arts, science, and technical institutions as its constituent parts but also a faculty for the cultivation and development of Oriental studies, including Malayalam and Sanskrit. It has been from the very beginning one of the objects of this university to promote research, and while it has on one side been helping research work in modern sciences, it has not neglected the humanities, which are really of such great value in forming the character of those who study them. We have at the present moment in the country a great problem. I mean the problem of educated unemployment. I am not surprised that this problem is troubling you also, because even in places where education is not so widespread, the problem has made itself felt and efforts are being made to solve it in two ways. On the one side, efforts are being made to so adjust the curricula of universities and educational institutions as to make the students better fitted for the kind of work which is just now available in the country, and which we hope will be more and more available in the future. And on the other side, attempts are being made to develop industries and other means for employment. So, this two pronged attack on the problem of unemployment is going on throughout the country. I am quite sure you are also doing the same. It is not easy for me, speaking as I do here, to make any suggestions or extend any promises. All I can say is that we admire the people of this part of country very much. It is therefore a matter of gratification to me that you have not confined your activities to the well known and traditional subjects. You have a variety of subjects, some of them most modern, which are needed today much more than ever before. All this is as it should be. I am only hoping that as days go by, you will be making greater and greater progress in all directions, and the problems with which you are faced today and which have arisen to some extent on account of the peculiar conditions in this part of the country will be solved to your entire satisfaction and the satisfaction of us all. Your Vice Chancellor said just now that our university education is changing according to changed circumstances. This is a fact. If some people are impatient today and ask for further changes, it does not mean that they do not recognize the changes that have taken place already. It only means that they want the pace to be quickened a little, and I must confess that I am myself one of those who hold this view. I assure you that I do not for a moment minimize the value of all that has been done by our older universities and even by newer universities. I am grateful for all that I have myself received from one of the oldest universities in India. I shall be the last man to say that universities have done no good at all, but I say this that according to changed circumstances, changes have to be made and changes should be made quickly. Changes are being made, but the pace should be quickened. That is all I plead for. From what I have heard about your university, I must say that you are fully cognizant of the necessity of this change and of its pace. During the short period of about 18 or 19 years, you have already shown what tremendous progress can be made, and with the limited resources at one's disposal, you have not only increased the number of colleges and faculties in the university and encouraged research work, you have also succeeded in attracting to it larger and ever larger number of students, both men and women. Great credit is due to you also for the fact that you have co-education on such a large scale. Not that co-education is absent elsewhere, but it is not existent on the same scale as here. And I must say that if a country is to grow, both its men and women must grow. You have recognized this fact in our all walks of life. It is a pleasure for me to be here for the seventh convocation of the Indian Institute of Technology, Hyderabad. This occasion is a double celebration as it coincides with the 10th anniversary of the opening of the institute. Let me begin by congratulating the IIT Hyderabad community for these landmarks. For the graduating students, today is a special moment. It is the result of years of hard work and dedication on your part and on the part of your teachers and professors as well as your families. The energy and enthusiasm of youth combined with a solid foundation is a very effective combination. It can take an individual very far. As fresh IIT graduates, you are entering a world and an India packed with opportunities. There is so much you can do and so much you can achieve for yourselves, for your families, for society at large, particularly for those less fortunate than you. Please dream big and aim high and please take risks.